The next airplane we're going to talk about is the one behind me here that's painted It's painted as a Blue Angel. We want to tell the story of Johnny Magda. Johnny Magda was born up near Louisville, Kentucky, but he came to Bowling Green and graduated from Western Kentucky State College, as it was called back in those days, just at the start. Always wanted to be a fighter pilot, so he joined the Navy and became a fighter pilot. And he served during World War II in the Pacific. You may remember a great battle, the Battle of Midway, that took place early on during the war. Johnny Magda participated in the Battle of Midway. In fact, ran his airplane out of fuel before he could get back to the carrier to land, and so he ditched in the Pacific Ocean. Got out, got in his one-man raft, and he sat there for 5 days waiting to be rescued. And about the 5th day, a Navy search and rescue airplane, a PBY, they found him, they saw him, and they landed. They landed in the Pacific Ocean and picked him up, drug him in there, dried him off, took him back. He got recurrent and went on to fly combat the rest of the World War II, and was successful in shooting down 5 Japanese airplanes, thereby becoming an ace. The war's over, he comes back to the States, and he's one of the first guys to fly in this airplane like this, which is called a Panther jet. It was the first carrier qualified jet aircraft that the Navy had. The wings fold up in it, right here you can see the wings fold up so that when they're on the carrier it doesn't take up much room. It's not painted like this. Johnny Magda was the Blue Angels transition from a prop airplane to a jet airplane. And the first jet airplane that they had for the Blue Angels was a Panther jet. And Johnny Magda was asked for and was accepted into the Blue Angels. And then he became the commander of the Blue Angels. But the Korean War breaks out, and the Navy temporarily disbands the Blue Angels. So Johnny Magda and all of his pilots volunteered for combat if they could go as a unit. And the Navy accepted that offer. And so Johnny Magda and his team flew all their airplanes out to California. They were repainted in combat colors. They loaded the airplanes up on the carrier, and they steamed to the Korean Peninsula. And Johnny Magda was flying combat one day, attacking a target on the ground, and he received ground fire. And his airplane became damaged, caught on fire, and he didn't want to be captured as a POW, so he was trying his best to get out to the water so that he could ditch like he had ditched back during World War II. And he was successful in getting out there, but we couldn't talk to him. We talked to his wingman. In fact, his wingman lived and would come here to Bowling Green, was here when we dedicated this airplane at our annual hangar party. So he was on Johnny's wing when he got shot down, got hit, and escorted him out to the water, to the ocean, to be ditched and be rescued. He saw Johnny taking the straps off and getting ready to ditch the airplane, but we think what happened is the fire burnt through the flight controls and the airplane crashed. Threw Johnny out of the airplane. Helicopters were on their way from the carrier to rescue him, and they were able to get his body, killed him, and they were able to get his body up before it sank. Brought him back, and they buried Johnny Magda here in the country. We wanted to tell that story of Johnny Magda. What a great, great hero he was. But we needed an F9 to tell the story. And we found this airplane sitting in a field next to the Mississippi River up in Winona, Minnesota. Looked awful. Gear was up in mud where the Mississippi River would flood every year. The airplane, when it was struck from active duty by the Navy, was given to the town of Winona, and they put it in a city park, and it became a piece of playground equipment. And after a while, they got embarrassed with the way she looked, and so they had a trade school tow it out to their school that was on the edge of the airport there, and they practiced fixing skins broken things. And so they would take sledgehammers or whatever, and they would make holes in the skin, and then they would repair it, patch it. So you can imagine what she looked like. She looked so bad after the tech school got through with it, towed her out the field, and that's where she sat until we found her. And so we asked the Navy. Navy said, first of all, the Navy said, we don't have an airplane up there. And they said, yes, you do. Here's a picture. And so they said, okay, you can have it. And so we paid a company to take the wings off of it, take it apart, bring it back here to Bowling Green. And it took us a long time to fix this airplane. We worked on it for almost 2 years. Restored the cockpit to where it looks just like it did when it was active duty. In fact, his wingman that I told you about earlier came and looked at it, and he said, I can't believe it was never a Blue Angel airplane, but the Navy gave us permission to paint it as if it was Blue Angel. So she's painted today just like she looked if she were a Blue Angel when Johnny Magda was the commander. The thing that's neat about it, I told you a while ago about the T-30, the F-4 over there, where Dan Cherry was flew that airplane, and I told you he was the commander of the Air Force Thunderbird demonstration team. Sitting next to him, we're honoring Johnny Magda with this F-9 Panther, and he was the commander of the Blue Angels in little old Bowling Green, Kentucky. Commander of the Thunderbirds, commander of the Blue Angels, sitting here side by side. I want to tell you about when we dedicated the airplane, unveiled it. We always unveil our artifacts at our hangar party on a Saturday in June, and we invited the Blue Angels to come and be part of it. And the response was, we've got to be at an air show in, I think it was Michigan, and there's no way that we can be there on Saturday for your hangar party. But they said, we probably have to stop in Bowling Green on the way up there to refuel. So if you can work out something, we'll land there. Wednesday, before we had our hangar party, the Blue Angels came to Bowling Green. Just beat up Bowling Green as they were flying around all the place. No, as you can imagine what it was like. They came in, they pitched out, and they landed here in Bowling Green, taxied in there, got out and did their thing as they were, all the canopies came up, and they got down and got in formation and marched off, went over to the hangar, and we had a big luncheon for them. While they were eating lunch, we were out there refueling their airplanes and getting them ready to go. And so they came out after lunch, and they were doing their thing that they do, you know, when they go get in their airplane. It's really cool. But while they were doing that, we towed Panther 1 over to the taxiway, where as they taxied out to the airport, out to the runway to take off, they would have to go right by in front of Panther 1, as we call it. Started up their engines, and they taxied out, and as every one of them taxied in front of Panther 1, they turned and gave us a salute. That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. Not many dry eyes as they did that, as you can imagine. But anyway, she was the second airplane that we had. We got the F-4, and then Panther was the second airplane that we had.